They say the truth comes out in the most unexpected places. For me, it came out in a steam-filled bathroom, wrapped in vulnerability and water droplets, spoken by the one person I never thought would say those words. My straight best friend, the guy I'd been secretly in love with for 3 years. This is the story of how everything I thought I knew shattered in one confession, and how we rebuilt it into something neither of us saw coming. The thing about loving your straight best friend is that you become an expert at compartmentalization. You learn to separate the ache in your chest when he hugs you from the casual bro he adds at the end. You master the art of laughing at his dating stories while something inside you quietly breaks. You become fluent in a language of longing that has no translation. I'd been fluent for 3 years. His name was Ethan Cole, and he was the kind of beautiful that didn't require effort. Messy dark hair that fell into hazel eyes that shifted between green and gold depending on his mood. A jawline that could cut glass, softened by a smile that made dimples appear on his left cheek. 6'2" of lean muscle from years of swimming, with shoulders broad enough to carry the world, or at least my world. We met in college during freshman orientation. I was the anxious scholarship kid from a small town in Ohio, clutching a campus map like a lifeline. He was the confident California transplant who saw me struggling with my dorm lock and offered to help. That simple gesture became coffee, which became study sessions, which became the kind of friendship that people write songs about, except I wanted to write love songs, and he was writing his story with girls whose names I forced myself to remember. I'm Adrian Matthews, 25 now, working as a graphic designer for a marketing firm in Seattle. I came out publicly at 19, a decision that felt like finally exhaling after holding my breath my entire life. Ethan was the first person I told, sitting on the dock by the campus lake at 2 in the morning, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the beer he'd brought. "Dude, I've known since sophomore year," he'd said, bumping my shoulder with his. "You think I didn't notice the way you tensed up when Brad Hutchison asked if you were seeing anyone? And you're okay with it?" He'd looked at me like I'd asked if he was okay with gravity. "Adrian, you're my best friend. This doesn't change anything." And it hadn't, not for him. For me, it changed everything, because now I couldn't blame my feelings on confusion or curiosity. Now I had to live with the crystal clear reality that I was in love with a man who would never love me back. Not that way 3 years later, present day remind me again why we thought getting an apartment together was a good idea. I called from the kitchen, wrestling with a box labeled kitchen stuff in Ethan's chaotic handwriting. Because rent in Seattle is insane, and you make the best carbonara in the Pacific Northwest. His voice echoed from his bedroom, followed by the sound of something heavy hitting the floor. "Shit, you alive in there?" Debatable. "I think my guitar case just declared war on my shin." I smiled despite myself, pulling out mismatched plates and wondering how we'd accumulated so much stuff. The apartment was perfect. A 2-bedroom in Capitol Hill with exposed brick, huge windows, and a bathroom that had clearly been renovated in the last decade. The kind of place we could never afford separately, but could just manage together. Living with the person you're in love with who doesn't love you back. Probably terrible idea, number 73 in the Adrian Matthews Handbook of Emotional Self-Sabotage. But when Ethan had suggested it 6 months ago, those hazel eyes bright with excitement, I couldn't say no. I'd never been able to say no to him. "Hey, we should christen the place properly," Ethan announced, emerging from his room covered in dust, hair sticking up in about 12 directions. "Pizza, beer, and that documentary about the guy who climbed that mountain with no ropes, Free Solo, and we've watched it 3 times. Yeah, but now we can watch it in our place." He grinned, and my traitorous heart did its familiar skip and stumble routine. "Come on, first night in the new apartment, it's tradition. We've never lived together before, we don't have traditions. Then we're starting them." "Say yes, Adrian," I sighed with theatrical reluctance, hiding the fact that I would have said yes to literally anything. "Fine, but I'm picking the pizza toppings." "Deal, just no pineapple. That's where I draw the line. You're so boring." Says the guy who color codes his book collection. "That's called organization, you heathen." This was us. Easy banter, comfortable silences, the kind of friendship that felt like home. If I could just ignore the constant low-level yearning, it was perfect. The evening followed our usual pattern. Pizza decimated, beers consumed, documentary playing, while we provided unnecessary commentary. Ethan sprawled on one end of the couch, long legs taking up more than his fair share of space. I curled on the other end, hyper-aware of every accidental touch, every moment his foot brushed against my leg. "I still can't believe he free-soloed El Capitan," Ethan said, shaking his head. Like one wrong move and some people need that kind of risk, I said quietly. The fear is part of the point. He turned to look at me, something shifting in his expression. You ever feel like that? Like you need to do something terrifying just to feel alive? Sometimes. Always. Every day I live with you and don't tell you how I feel. Been thinking about that lately. He picked at the label on his beer bottle, suddenly looking younger, uncertain in a way Ethan rarely was. Like I'm playing it safe, going through the motions. You just got promoted to senior architect at 25. That's not exactly playing it safe. That's career stuff, I mean, other things. My chest tightened. Like what? He opened his mouth, then closed it, shook his head. Never mind. Wrong time for an existential crisis. He stood, stretching, and I absolutely did not stare at the strip of toned stomach revealed when his shirt rode up. I'm gonna grab a shower, long day of moving heavy shit. Use the good towels, they're in the bathroom closet. You bought good towels, one of us has to be an adult. He laughed, ruffling my hair as he passed, a gesture he'd done 1,000 times that never stopped making my skin electric. Don't wait up, I take forever. Bathroom door closed. Water started running. I sat on the couch, surrounded by cardboard boxes and the detritus of our combined lives, and wondered how long I could sustain this. This careful dance of proximity and distance, of being everything to him except what I wanted to be. My phone buzzed. Text from my friend Marcus. How's day one of living with Prince Charming? Exactly as masochistic as predicted, I typed back. You know you could just tell him, and ruin the best friendship I've ever had. Hard pass. Adrian, you can't keep doing this to yourself. I stared at the message, knowing he was right, knowing I wouldn't listen. Because the thought of Ethan looking at me with pity, with discomfort, with anything other than the easy affection I currently received, that was worse than any amount of unrequited longing. The water was still running. Ethan's marathon showers were legendary. I started putting away dishes, trying to create some order in our new space, when I heard it, a sound from the bathroom, not the shower. Something else, a choked sob. I froze, plate in hand, every nerve suddenly alert. Ethan didn't cry. In 3 years I'd seen him frustrated, angry, disappointed, but never crying. Another sound, definitely crying. My body moved before my mind caught up, crossing to the bathroom door. Ethan, you okay? Silence. Then I'm fine. His voice was wrecked, thick with tears, the words obvious lies. Clearly not fine. What's wrong? Just leave it, Adrian. Everything in me screamed to respect his privacy, to walk away. But this was Ethan, my best friend. The person who'd held me through my coming out fears, through family drama, through every bad day and worst night. I tried the door, unlocked. I'm coming in, I warned, giving him 3 seconds before I pushed it open. Steam hit me first, thick and warm. Then I saw him, sitting on the shower floor, fully clothed, water pouring over him from above. His jeans were soaked, his t-shirt plastered to his chest, and his face was buried in his hands as his shoulders shook. Jesus, Ethan. I turned off the shower, grabbed one of the good towels and crouched beside him. What happened? Is someone hurt? Is it your family? He looked up at me and the expression on his face stopped my heart. Not grief, not fear, anguish, pure, desperate anguish. I can't do this anymore, he whispered. Can't do what? Pretend. I can't keep pretending, my hand stilled on his shoulder. Pretending, laughed, bitter and broken, that I don't feel it, that I haven't been feeling it for months, that moving in with you wasn't the best and worst decision I've ever made. Bathroom walls felt like they were closing in. Ethan, I'm in love with you, Adrian. The world stopped, actually stopped. Time crystallized around those 6 words, suspending us in this moment of steam and confession, of everything I'd dreamed and never believed possible. What? I'm in love with you, he repeated, and now the words were tumbling out like he'd been holding them back for so long they'd built up pressure. I'm in love with you and I don't know what to do with it because I thought I was straight. I've always been straight. But then you walked into my life and nothing made sense anymore and I tried to ignore it, tried to date other people, tried to convince myself it was just friendship. But it's not. It's never been just friendship. Not for me, not for a long time. Ethan, breathe. And tonight, unpacking boxes, watching you make our apartment into a home. I realized I can't live with you and not tell you. I can't keep drowning in this feeling and acting like everything's normal. His hazel eyes met mine, desperate and terrified and hopeful all at once. I'm in love with you, and I know you probably don't feel the same way. I know I'm your straight best friend and this is probably the last thing you want to hear. I kissed him, not gently, not tentatively. I kissed him like I'd been starving for 3 years and he was oxygen and water and everything I needed to survive. My hands cupped his face, and he made this sound, this broken, relieved sound, and kissed me back like he was drowning and I was air. We broke apart, gasping, foreheads pressed together. Wrong, I said, my voice shaking. About me not feeling the same way. Been in love with you since sophomore year. Since you brought me coffee during finals and stayed up all night helping me study for organic chemistry even though you'd already taken the class. Since you were the first person I came out to and you made me feel brave instead of scared. Since every day for 3 years where I convinced myself I'd be okay with just being your friend. His hands came up to cover mine, still pressed against his face. Why didn't you say anything? Because you're straight. Because I couldn't risk losing you. Because I'd rather have you as a friend than not have you at all. Not, he whispered. What, straight? Or maybe I am except for you, I don't know, I don't have the words for it yet. His thumb traced my cheekbone, the gesture unbearably tender. All I know is that you're the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I sleep. That every girl I've dated has been me trying to convince myself I wasn't feeling what I was feeling. That the thought of you with someone else makes me want to break things. Ethan, I know this is complicated. I know I'm probably going to be terrible at this because I've never been with a guy before and I'm probably going to screw up and I'm still figuring out what this means for my identity. I kissed him again, softer this time. We'll figure it out together. We stayed on that bathroom floor for what felt like hours but was probably 20 minutes, wrapped around each other, whispering truths we'd kept locked away for too long. Eventually, the discomfort of wet clothes and hard tile won out over the intimacy of the moment. Shivering, I said, finally pulling back. We should get you out of these wet clothes. Ethan's eyebrow quirked up, a hint of his usual playfulness returning. Adrian Matthews, are you trying to seduce me? Trying to prevent you from getting hypothermia in our bathroom on our first night in the apartment. But I was smiling, my face aching from it, unable to stop. Though for the record, I've fantasized about getting you out of your clothes approximately 8 million times. Only 8 million? I'm disappointed. Or take a few 100,000. He stood, offering me his hand, and pulled me up. We were close again, close enough that I could count the water droplets on his eyelashes, see the flecks of gold in those hazel eyes I'd memorized 1,000 times but never let myself truly look at. Not like this, not with permission. I should probably actually shower, he said quietly, without the emotional breakdown this time. Company, the words were out before I could stop them and I immediately backtracked. Sorry, too fast, I didn't mean, yes, I blinked. Yes, I want company. His hand found mine, fingers interlacing with a natural ease that felt like coming home. I've wanted that for longer than I've been willing to admit to myself. But Adrian, I need you to know, I've never done this before, any of this, with anyone but especially not with a guy, and I don't want to mess this up. Won't, you don't know that. I brought his hand to my lips, kissed his knuckles. Then we'll mess it up together and figure it out as we go. There's no rulebook for this, Ethan, we be honest with each other, like we've always been. He nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Okay, yeah, honest. So honestly, shower together might be moving too fast for tonight. We've had about 30 minutes to process a fundamental shift in our entire relationship. Maybe we start slower, relief flooded his face. Thank God you said that. I'm trying to be all confident and sexy, but internally I'm freaking out a little. Little, a lot. I just told my best friend I'm in love with him, kissed him, and now we're discussing getting naked together. My brain is basically just the sound of dial-up internet right now. I laughed, the sound echoing off the bathroom tiles. How about this? You take an actual shower. I'll make us some tea. We'll sit on the couch and talk like adults instead of making out like teenagers. What if I want to make out like a teenager? Later, after talking, he sighed dramatically. When did you become the responsible one? One of us has to be. I squeezed his hand once more before letting go, already missing the contact. 20 minutes, 15. Now that I'm not having an existential crisis, I can actually be efficient. I left him there, closing the bathroom door behind me, and leaned against the hallway wall, trying to slow my racing heart. This was real. This was actually happening. Ethan, my straight best friend, the man I'd convinced myself I could never have, had just confessed his love for me while sitting fully clothed in a shower. My phone buzzed. Marcus again, you go radio silent and my anxiety assumes the worst. Everything okay? I stared at the message, then typed, Ethan's in love with me. The response was immediate. What told me just now? In the shower, I need 800% more context immediately later. Still processing. But Marcus, he's in love with me. I'm happy for you, but also please be careful. This is complicated territory. I knew what he meant. Ethan was newly out, questioning, figuring out his identity in real time. There were 1,000 ways this could go wrong, 1,000 ways we could hurt each other even with the best intentions, but standing in our shared apartment, hearing the shower run and knowing Ethan was on the other side of that door feeling the same things I'd felt for years, it was worth the risk. It had to be. Ethan emerged exactly 15 minutes later, hair damp, wearing sweatpants and a faded Stanford t-shirt that I'd seen him in 100 times, but that now felt loaded with new meaning. Everything felt different. The way he moved through the space, the way he looked at me, the small smile playing at his lips. "Tea," I offered, holding up a mug. "You made chamomile. You hate chamomile. It's your favorite. And I'm trying to be a good, whatever we are now." He took the mug, settled onto the couch beside me, closer than he used to sit, our thighs touching. "I vote for boyfriends, if you're okay with that." Boyfriends. The word sent electricity down my spine. Very okay with that. I set my own mug down, turning to face him fully. "But we should probably talk about what that means for us, for how we navigate this." Therapist mode activated, emotional intelligence mode activated. There's a difference. He smiled, but it faded into something more serious. "You're right, we should talk." He took a breath. "I don't know what I am, Adrian, gay, bi, queer, straight, except for you. None of those labels feel quite right yet. And I know that might be frustrating for you." "It's not," I interrupted gently. "Labels are personal. You use whatever feels right or nothing at all. That doesn't change how I feel about you." "How do you feel about me?" "Like, I know you said you've been in love with me, but I want to hear it again. I want to hear everything you've been holding back." So I told him. I told him about the first time I realized it was love and not just friendship. Watching him defend a freshman getting harassed at a party, his entire body radiating protective fury. I told him about the night he brought me soup when I had the flu sophomore year, and how I'd fallen asleep to him reading aloud from my favorite book. I told him about every casual touch that had made my skin burn, every smile that had sustained me through bad days, every moment I'd had to remind myself to breathe around him. "I learned to love you quietly," I finished. "I became an expert at it, and now you're telling me I don't have to be quiet anymore, and I don't know how to do that yet." His hand found mine again, and this time neither of us let go. "Then we learned together," he said, "because I'm new at all of this. The queer stuff, the being in a relationship with a guy stuff, the being in love stuff. I've dated before, but I've never felt like this. Like my chest might crack open from how much I feel. Poetic. I'm serious. You make me want to write terrible poetry and learn the guitar just so I can write songs about you and be completely insufferable. Please don't. Your guitar playing is painful enough without adding lyrics." He laughed, and the sound wrapped around me like warmth. "See, this is what I mean. With you, I can be ridiculous and know you'll call me on it. You've seen me at my worst and still somehow want me. Wanted you at your worst, your best, and every messy moment in between. Even the time I got food poisoning from bad sushi and you had to hold my hair back. Especially then. Very romantic. You're insane," says the guy who confessed his love while sitting in a running shower fully clothed. It seemed dramatic at the time. We were laughing now, the conversation finding its rhythm, the ease we'd always had flavored with something new and electric. This was the gift of loving your best friend. You didn't have to start from scratch. We had 3 years of foundation, of knowing each other's quirks and wounds and weird habits, but we also had 3 years of boundaries to navigate, patterns to shift. "Can I kiss you again?" Ethan asked, his voice soft. "I know we said talking first, but I really want to kiss you again." Always yes. This kiss was different from the bathroom, slower, exploratory. His lips moved against mine with careful attention, like he was memorizing the shape of my mouth, the way I responded to pressure and gentleness. His hand came up to cup my jaw, thumb stroking my cheekbone, and I made a sound I didn't recognize, something between a sigh and a plea. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were dark with want. "I have no idea what I'm doing," he admitted. "Doing great. I don't know where to put my hands. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I mean, with girls there was always this script, you know, but with you I don't know the script." I took his hand, placed it over my heart. "There is no script, just do what feels right. Touch me however you want to touch me. I'll tell you if something doesn't work. Promise, promise." His hand stayed there, feeling my heartbeat racing beneath his palm. Then slowly, carefully, it slid to my waist, pulling me closer. I went willingly, ending up half in his lap, my hands braced on his shoulders. "This okay?" he asked. "Very okay." We kissed again, and this time there was less hesitation. His hands mapped the curve of my spine, the planes of my shoulders, learning the topography of my body through my shirt. I let myself touch him too, fingers threading through his still damp hair, tracing the strong line of his jaw, feeling the rapid pulse at his throat. When his hand slipped under my shirt, just fingertips against bare skin, we both froze. "Too much," he asked against my lips. No, perfect, keep going. But he pulled back slightly, and I could see the war in his expression, battling with uncertainty. What is it? I want this. God, I want this so badly. But I'm scared I'm going to fuck it up somehow. He rested his forehead against mine. What if I'm not good at it? What if I can't give you what you need? Ethan, I've been in exactly 2 relationships before this, and neither of them lasted more than 6 months. I'm not some expert, we're both figuring this out. You've been with guys, you know what to expect. I know what I expected with them. You and me, this is completely new territory. I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. I don't need you to be experienced. I need you to be present, to be honest, to be you. He studied my face for a long moment. What if what I need is to take this slow, like slower than you might want? Then we take it slow. I've waited 3 years, Ethan. I can wait however long you need to feel comfortable. Relief in his expression was palpable. I think I need that, not because I don't want you, trust me. I want you in ways I'm still processing. But I want to do this right. I want to savor it instead of rushing because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So we savor it. I shifted slightly, settling more comfortably against him, his arms wrapped around my waist. We've got time. We stayed like that for a while, tangled together on the couch, exchanging lazy kisses and softer touches. At some point, Ethan pulled a blanket over us, and I ended up with my head on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. I can't believe this is real, he murmured into my hair. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and realize I dreamed it. If you're dreaming, I'm having the same dream. Adrian, yeah, thank you for not giving up on me, even when you thought I was straight. I tilted my head to look at him. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me the truth. He kissed my forehead, and something in my chest cracked open, not painfully, but like a door finally unlocking after being closed for too long. We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the TV still playing the documentary neither of us was watching. When I woke hours later, stiff from the awkward angle, Ethan was still asleep, his face peaceful in a way I rarely saw during his waking hours. I carefully extracted myself, grabbed my phone, and went to the kitchen to get water. 3:47 a.m. The city was quiet outside our windows, just the occasional car passing by. A text from Marcus, you still alive or did you spontaneously combust from happiness? Alive, extremely happy, also terrified, normal response. How's he doing? Good, scared. We're taking it slow, smart. Remember, he's figuring out his identity. That's complicated even without a relationship. I know, and I did know. Ethan was at the beginning of a journey I'd started years ago. Coming to terms with queer identity, especially later than some, especially when it upends everything you thought you knew about yourself, it wasn't simple. There would be moments of doubt, of internalized shame, of wondering if this was real or some phase. I had to be prepared for that, had to be strong enough to support him through it while also protecting my own heart. Ethan's voice rough with sleep. He stood in the kitchen doorway, hair sticking up adorably. You left, just getting water. Didn't want to wake you. He crossed to me, and even half asleep, even in the middle of the night, his arms around me felt like the most natural thing in the world. Come back to bed? He asked. We fell asleep on the couch. I mean my bed, our beds, I mean. He stopped, flustered. Is it too soon to want to sleep in the same bed? My heart did that skip and stumble thing again. No, that sounds perfect. His room was still mostly unpacked boxes, but his bed was made, a habit from his parents insisting on it since childhood. We climbed in together, and it felt surreal, like stepping into a fantasy I'd had countless times but never believed would happen. Can I hold you? He asked. Please. He pulled me back against his chest, his arm draped over my waist, and I felt him relax by degrees, his breathing evening out. Adrian, I meant what I said earlier. About being in love with you. I know, just wanted to make sure you knew. In case the shower confession seemed too dramatic to be real, I laced my fingers through his. It was perfectly dramatic, very you. He huffed a quiet laugh against my neck, and I felt myself melting into him, into this moment, into the impossible reality of having everything I'd ever wanted. Good night, Adrian. Good night, Ethan. Sleep found me quickly, wrapped in warmth and the steady rhythm of his breathing, and for the first time in 3 years, I didn't have to compartmentalize my feelings. I didn't have to separate the ache from the affection, the longing from the love. I could just feel it all completely with the person who felt it too. Morning arrived with golden light streaming through Ethan's bedroom window, and the realization that the warm weight against my back was real, solid, and still asleep. I lay there, eyes closed, cataloging sensations, the rise and fall of Ethan's chest against my back, his arm still wrapped around my waist, his breath warm against my neck. Every romance novel I'd ever secretly read had tried to describe this feeling, waking up with the person you loved, but none of them got it quite right. They didn't mention the morning breath, or the way your arm goes numb, or the moment of panic wondering if they'd regret everything in the harsh light of day. As if sensing my thoughts, Ethan stirred, his arm tightening around me. "You're thinking too loud," he mumbled into my shoulder. "How can you possibly know I'm thinking?" Your whole body tenses up. It's like hugging an overthinking statue. I tried to relax, but he was right. My muscles were coiled tight, just wondering if you're going to wake up and realize you made a terrible mistake. He was quiet for a long moment, long enough that my anxiety started climbing. Then he rolled me over to face him, and even with messy hair and pillow creases on his face, he was unfairly beautiful. "Adrian Matthews, I have made many mistakes in my life. Learning to skateboard at age 23, mistake. That haircut junior year, huge mistake. Waiting this long to tell you how I feel, biggest mistake of all." His hand cupped my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. "But this, not a mistake. You sound very sure for someone who just figured this out yesterday." "I've been figuring this out for months. I just wasn't ready to admit it." His hazel eyes searched mine. "Are you having doubts?" "Yes, no, I don't know," I sighed. "I'm scared this is going to change everything between us, that we're going to lose the friendship trying to build the relationship." "We won't." "You can't promise that." "You're right, I can't." He pressed his forehead to mine. "But I can promise I'm going to try like hell to make sure we don't. You're my best friend, Adrian. That doesn't go away just because I'm also wildly attracted to you and want to kiss you approximately every 5 minutes." Despite my anxiety, I smiled. "Every 5 minutes. Give or take, sometimes more frequently, like right now for instance. Your breath probably tastes like something died. So does yours, I don't care." He kissed me anyway, and he was right, neither of us cared. The kiss was soft, sweet, morning gentle. When we broke apart, some of the tension in my chest had loosened. "We should probably get up," I said without making any move to do so. "Start unpacking for real, make this place actually livable." Or, Ethan countered, "We could stay in bed a little longer and keep doing this." This. Kissing, talking, existing in this space where everything is new and terrifying, but also kind of perfect. "You're a romantic, I never knew." "Neither did I. You bring it out in me, apparently." We did eventually get up, though it took another 20 minutes of lazy kisses and murmured conversations. Shower separately, still too soon for that together, both of us needing space to process. I was blow-drying my hair when my phone rang. "Mom." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the decline button. My relationship with my parents was complicated. They'd eventually accepted me being gay, but accepting and celebrating were different things. They loved me, but they didn't quite know what to do with me. I answered, "Hey, Mom." "Adrian, I've been calling you all week. Did you get moved into the new apartment?" "Yeah, sorry, moving has been chaos. We just finished yesterday." "We." Right, I hadn't told them about Ethan being my roommate. "My roommate, friend from college, Ethan." "Oh, is she nice?" I closed my eyes. Ethan's a guy, Mom." Pause, then carefully, "I see, well I'm sure that will be fine." The implication was clear. She was worried. Worried about her gay son living with a man, worried about what the neighbors might think, worried about things she'd never say directly, but that hung in the space between us. "It's fine, Mom. We've been friends for years. It's just about splitting rent." "Of course, I just want you to be happy, sweetie." We talked for a few more minutes, surface-level conversation about work and her book club and Dad's golf game. When I hung up, I felt emotionally drained in the way I always did after talking to my parents. Ethan appeared in the bathroom doorway. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just my mom being my mom." He crossed to me, wrapped his arms around me from behind, met my eyes in the mirror. "Want to talk about it?" I leaned back into him. She doesn't know about us. Hell, I didn't even tell her you were moving in until just now, and I could hear her anxiety through the phone. Does that bother you, her anxiety? It bothers me that I'm 25 and still seeking approval from parents who barely understand me. I turned in his arms. They love me, I know they do, but they don't get it, being queer, living authentically, any of it. Do you want to tell them about us? Eventually, when we've figured out what us even means, I managed a smile. Besides, that conversation needs to happen in person, preferably with alcohol and an escape route. I'll be there with you when you're ready. The easy way he said it, like of course he'd be there, like it wasn't even a question, made something warm bloom in my chest. We spent the day unpacking, slowly transforming the apartment from a collection of boxes into something that felt like home. It was domestic in a way that should have been boring, but somehow wasn't. Ethan kept stealing kisses when I walked past. I kept catching him staring at me when he thought I wasn't looking. We need groceries, I announced around 3, surveying our depressingly empty fridge. I'll go with you. Both of us don't need to go to the grocery store. I want to, he grabbed his jacket. Besides, left to your own devices, you'll buy the most boring groceries imaginable. I buy practical things. You buy sadness in food form. We bickered good-naturedly all the way to the store, and it felt normal, easy, like nothing had changed, except everything had changed. Walking through the aisles together, debating the merits of different pasta brands, arguing over whether we needed a third kind of cheese, it was perfectly mundane. And then Ethan's hand found mine. Just like that, casual, natural, threading our fingers together in the middle of the cereal aisle like it was something we'd done 1,000 times. I looked at him, surprised. He looked back, a small smile playing at his lips. "This okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just didn't expect it." "Me neither, but I want to hold your hand in public. I want people to know you're mine, if that's okay." My heart was doing acrobatics. That's very okay. We continued shopping hand in hand, and I waited for the anxiety, the self-consciousness, the fear that someone would say something. But Ethan seemed completely at ease, occasionally squeezing my hand, bumping my shoulder, being casually affectionate in a way that announced to anyone paying attention that we were together. At the checkout, the cashier, a college-aged kid with purple hair, smiled at us. "You two are cute together." Ethan beamed, "Thanks." Walking back to the apartment, bags in one hand, still holding mine with the other, Ethan was practically glowing. "That felt good," he said, "being public about it, about us. No second thoughts, no worries about who might see. Should I have them? I don't know, some people do. Coming out it's a process. There's no wrong way to do it." He was quiet for a moment, thinking. "I've been thinking about that, the coming out thing, and I don't know if I want to make some big announcement, but I also don't want to hide, especially not hide you." "So what do you want?" "I want to tell the people who matter, my parents, my sister, our friends. I want to correct people when they assume I'm straight. I want to hold your hand in public and not worry about it." He stopped walking, turned to face me. "But mostly, I want to figure out who I am without the pressure of labels or expectations. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense." "And you're okay with that, with me being in process?" I set down the groceries, took both his hands. "Ethan, I'm okay with whatever you need. Fast, slow, public, private, we do this at your pace." "What about your pace?" "My pace is whatever keeps you in my life." He kissed me right there on the sidewalk, 3 blocks from our apartment, not caring who saw. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright. "I really love you," he said, like he was testing out the words, seeing how they felt. Like stupidly, inconveniently, completely. "I really love you too." That night, we finally christened the apartment properly. Not with sex, we weren't there yet, and that was okay. But with cooking dinner together, dancing badly to music from Ethan's playlist, curling up on the couch to watch a movie neither of us paid attention to, because we were too busy talking. Tell me something I don't know about you, Ethan said, playing with my hair as I lay with my head in his lap. After 3 years of friendship, you know pretty much everything. Then tell me something you've never told anyone. I thought about it. Sometimes I read the comments on LGBTQ+ coming out stories online and cry, happy tears, because I see people finding themselves, finding acceptance, and it makes me feel less alone. His hand stilled. You feel alone. Sometimes, even with you, even with friends who love me, there's this, I don't know, this weight of being different, of knowing that parts of the world don't want me to exist as I am. Adrian. It's not sad, I said quickly, or it is, but it's also just reality. Being queer means carrying that weight, but it also means being part of this incredible community of people who understand. I looked up at him, and now it means having you, which somehow makes the weight lighter. He leaned down, kissed me upside down, and it was awkward and perfect. My turn, he asked. Your turn. I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up. Not just us, but all of it. Coming to terms with my sexuality, navigating queer spaces, being the partner you deserve. I'm terrified I'm going to freeze up or say the wrong thing or hurt you without meaning to. That's a lot of fear. I know. Want to know a secret? I sat up, turned to face him. I'm terrified too. I'm terrified you're going to realize this was just confusion or experimentation. I'm terrified I'm going to be too much or not enough. I'm terrified we're going to lose the friendship trying to build the relationship. So we're both disasters. Basically. But we're disasters together. Together, I confirmed. He pulled me closer, and I went willingly, settling against his chest. His heartbeat was steady beneath my ear, a rhythm I could imagine falling asleep to every night. Adrian. I know we said slow, but would you want to sleep in my bed again tonight? Just sleeping, I sleep better with you there. I smiled against his shirt. Yeah, I'd like that. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. We unpacked, turned the apartment into a home, navigated the newness of being together while maintaining the ease of being best friends. Ethan started therapy, his idea, wanting to process everything with professional support. I tried to give him space to figure himself out while also being present when he needed me. We told our friends. Marcus hugged us both and said, finally, with so much emphasis that we couldn't stop laughing. Sarah, Ethan's ex-girlfriend from junior year, was surprisingly supportive, telling him she'd always suspected and was happy he was being true to himself. One evening 3 weeks in, Ethan came home from a therapy session looking thoughtful. How'd it go? I asked from the kitchen, where I was attempting to make stir-fry. Good, hard, productive. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, rested his chin on my shoulder. I talked about identity labels today. Yes. My therapist asked what label felt right, and I realized, I don't know if I need one, not right now anyway. Maybe I'm bi, maybe I'm pan, maybe I'm just Ethan who fell in love with Adrian. He turned me around to face him. Is that okay? It's more than okay. Your identity is yours to define, or not define. I also talked about my parents, about telling them. My chest tightened. What did you decide? I want to tell them this weekend, and I want you there with me. Ethan, are you sure? They might not react well, and if I'm there. If you're there, I'll be braver, and I want them to know you, to understand that this isn't some phase or confusion. You're the person I love, and they need to know that. I kissed him, pouring 3 years of patience and 3 weeks of present tense love into it. Okay, I said, this weekend, together. Saturday afternoon found us driving to Ethan's parents' house in Bellevue, my hand sweating in his. They thought we were coming for a casual dinner, Ethan bringing his roommate, nothing special. I can't believe I'm more nervous about this than you are, I said. Oh, I'm terrified. I'm just hiding it better. He squeezed my hand, but I'm also ready. I'm tired of hiding this huge part of my life from them. The Coles lived in a beautiful craftsman-style house with a garden his mother obsessively maintained. Mrs. Cole answered the door with a warm smile that looked exactly like Ethan's. "Ethan, and you must be Adrian. It's so nice to finally meet you. Ethan's mentioned you so many times over the years." We settled into the living room, making small talk. Ethan's dad was a quieter presence, a civil engineer who asked thoughtful questions about my work. His sister Mia, home from grad school, kept giving Ethan knowing looks that suggested she'd already figured it out. Dinner was excellent. Mrs. Cole was an amazing cook. The conversation flowed easily, and I started to relax, think maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Then Ethan set down his fork. "Mom, Dad, Mia, I need to tell you something." The energy in the room shifted. Mrs. Cole's smile became cautious. Mr. Cole set down his wine glass. "Adrian isn't just my roommate, he's my boyfriend." Silence. Mia broke it first. "About damn time you figured that out." Mrs. Cole shot her a look, then turned back to Ethan. "Your boyfriend." "I'm in love with him, Mom, have been for months, maybe longer, and I needed you to know." I watched Mr. Cole's face, trying to read the emotions there. Surprise, confusion, something I couldn't quite name. "But you've always dated girls," Mrs. Cole said carefully. "I know I thought I was straight, but I was wrong." Ethan reached for my hand under the table. "Or maybe I'm not entirely wrong, maybe I'm bisexual, I'm still figuring out the labels, but what I know for certain is that I love Adrian." "Ethan, this is very sudden," Mr. Cole said. "Are you sure this isn't just confusion? You've been friends for years. Sometimes people mistake close friendship for—" "I'm not confused, Dad." Ethan's voice was firm. "I've never been more sure of anything." Mrs. Cole's eyes were shining with tears. "I just want you to be happy, sweetheart, and if Adrian makes you happy, then—" She looked at me, really looked at me. "Does he make you happy?" "More than I knew was possible," Ethan said. She nodded slowly. "Then we'll figure this out, as a family." It wasn't perfect. There were more questions, some awkward moments, Mr. Cole's visible struggle to process, but as the evening went on, I watched them try, really try. They asked me about my family, my work, how Ethan and I met. They told embarrassing stories about Ethan's childhood. And when we left, Mrs. Cole hugged us both. "Take care of my boy," she whispered to me. "I will, promise." In the car driving home, Ethan was quiet. I let him process, just held his hand, waited. "That went better than I expected," he finally said. "Your mom was great, your dad, he'll come around." "He will, he just needs time, he's not good with change." Ethan pulled into our apartment parking lot, turned off the engine, but didn't move. "Thank you for being there." "Always." "I mean it, I couldn't have done that without you." "You could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to." We sat there in the dim parking garage, and I thought about the journey we'd taken to get here. From that dock at 2 a.m. when I came out, to that shower confession, to this moment of building something real and honest and brave. "Adrian." "Yes." "Move into my room. Officially. Why are we pretending we need 2 bedrooms when we sleep in the same bed every night anyway?" I laughed. "Practical. I'm a practical guy." "You confessed your love while sitting fully clothed in a running shower." "Okay, sometimes I'm practical." I kissed him there in the car, surrounded by concrete and fluorescent lights, and it was perfect. "Yes," I said, "let's turn the second bedroom into an office or something. I'll move my stuff tomorrow." "Or tonight." Eager. "To wake up every morning with you officially in my space, our space. Yeah, very eager." 3 months later. I woke to sunlight and Ethan's arm draped over my waist, his face buried in my neck, our legs tangled together in the comfortable mess of people who'd learned how to sleep intertwined. "Good morning," he mumbled without opening his eyes. "Good morning yourself. What time is it?" I checked my phone. 8. We should probably get up. We're meeting everyone for brunch at 10. 5 more minutes. You said that 20 minutes ago. This time, I mean it. I smiled, running my fingers through his hair, 3 months in. And I still sometimes couldn't believe this was real. That the person I'd loved quietly for 3 years now loved me back loudly, proudly, without reservation. It hadn't all been easy. Ethan had moments of doubt, of wondering if he was queer enough, if he belonged in LGBTQ plus spaces. I had moments of insecurity, of wondering if this would last. We had our first real fight about whose turn it was to do dishes and made up within an hour because neither of us could stand being upset with the other. But we figured it out, together. Hey, Ethan said, propping himself up on one elbow to look at me. I love you. I love you too. No, I mean, I love you. Present tense, active, ongoing. I'm in love with you right now, in this moment, messy hair and morning breath and all. Romantic. I'm serious. I want you to know that this isn't going anywhere. I'm not having doubts or second thoughts. You're it for me, Adrian Matthews. My throat tightened with emotion. You're it for me too. He kissed me, soft and sweet, then pulled back with a grin. Okay, now we can get up. I need to beat Marcus to brunch so I can tell him about the promotion before you do. You got the promotion. Found out yesterday. Wanted to tell you in a romantic way, but couldn't wait. I tackled him back onto the bed, both of us laughing, and thought about the shower confession that had started all of this. The truth coming out in steam and vulnerability, reshaping everything I thought I knew. Sometimes the truth breaks you open, sometimes it breaks you apart. But sometimes, if you're very lucky, it breaks you free.